and the select board members. That's what I heard.
Yeah, but it's a good idea. It's
And
certainly a good idea.
Okay,
Josh
you're right.
Bertulin, also in
You're right.
communications.
Just act normal, but you are right.
And here's Lise, right here. We're being broadcast,
We
so.
saved you a warm
So
seat.
Brock, is it interactive, like taking questions, or just purely
I think
being
it's just
shown?
purely shown, it's not
It's a
interactive.
live stream.
Okay.
So it's a live stream and recording?
The live stream is recorded by, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So let me pass around the notebook for people to sign in. I hear someone else coming. Here you go. Thank you very much. There you go. So, just want everyone.
Computer's
on the
away.
list. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Call the meeting to order. We've already heard that Paul Kleinman is our new representative from the Select Board. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you.
The Select Board divvied up the committees a couple of meetings ago, and Paul, who's on the Planning Board, makes a good connection to us. He was the Select Board Planning Board representative.
Right, but Letty is now.
Letty
And,
is now.
And I wanted to join this group, so I
We're such a
put
good
my
group.
hat in the ring.
Yes.
So I'm glad to be with all of you.
So a sign-up sheet is going around. Also, we have Doug Marino, a new member of the Planning Board. Yes, who's also sitting in on this meeting. So thank you all very much for being here.
I'm sorry, what was the name again?
I'm Doug Marino.
Doug Marino, Marino?
Yes.
Thank you, Doug.
Planning board member, thank you.
Okay, you all have packets. I wasn't sure if you would have printed the agenda or the minutes from the last meeting, so I have created a whole packet for you. So starting at the beginning, the first item is the March minutes, March 13. The draft is in your packet. It was created by Matt, who does a fabulous job recording our meetings. I hope you had a chance to look at them. If you have any suggestions for edits or changes or corrections. If not, let's take just a couple minutes to look at it for you to catch up. It's a 4-pager, so there's a lot to look at.
And do we have the full?
Yeah, I was just
Oh,
gonna
I'm
say,
sorry, yes,
yeah, while we're
before,
doing
yes.
that, we have 4 of our regular reps here, 5, right? 1, 2,
1,
3, 4,
2,
5, 6.
Including
3,
Paul.
4, 5 of the regulars, so we
Yeah,
need to.
2. And Doug and Michelle were the first 2 here.
So I have a motion to allow Doug and Michelle to, as alternates, to vote this evening. Is there a second?
Second. 6.
All in favor?
Hold it, hold
Wait,
it,
wait,
hold
wait.
it. Did
So
I
6
miscount?
people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6. Yes, Paul, that's right.
Paul, Andy, myself,
3, 4.
Michelle, Lise, Brian, that is 6. Okay,
Okay, so 1.
so we need 1,
Who arrived first since you were here now?
Doug.
Doug. Okay.
Fine.
Doug was here since last night.
So I'm withdrawing my
It's like,
motion.
you're going on my cover.
Are you like camping out for concert tickets or what?
I'm withdrawing my motion. We're going to have, I'm restating the motion to allow Doug Howie, an alternate, to vote this evening. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. So now to the minutes. If you have a chance to look at this, these 4 pages, well done by Matt. I see some people are already done. Any changes or corrections? Rob,
I
you
gave
had
one to
something?
Matt earlier.
Okay, what was that, just to,
Esserlac had an extra letter in it.
okay. Anything else, folks?
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes approved with a correction.
Yep.
I'll abstain, since I wasn't here.
Oh, okay, so it's 6 yeas, 1 abstain.
Two abstains.
Okay. Bills and reimbursements, the next item, we had none. We're not spending our money yet, so there's no bills and reimbursements to consider. I will be purchasing coffee and donuts for the town cleanup day, so there would be something at the next meeting. Correspondence and notices, planning board. Prescott, as you know, where the castles used to be on North Road, Prescott from Exeter, a water company, has proposed a complex on the site of the castles. They have gone through the ZBA, they've gone through the planning board, and this last Friday, I received a letter from Department of Environmental Services directed to that project, asking for, let's see, 9 requests for corrections, changes, or information on their proposal. We're cited as number 8. We have to concur with the proposed mitigation plan for the impacts to the designated prime wetlands and duly established prime wetland buffer in accordance with the EMV weight 704.3. Please note, if this concurrence is not provided as part of the response to this letter, then the project will require a public hearing in accordance with that statute. Letter do close. Wetlands Specialist, Wetlands Bureau, Land Resource Management.
So it's from BLM,
It's from,
Okay.
yes, the Department of Environmental Services.
okay.
Hampshire.
In New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I stopped in to see Jillian and said to make sure that Prescott knows that we need to be part of this, and she said, I told her the meeting was May 8th, so we may be having Daphne and Gove Environmental Services, care of Brendan Quigley, who's part of the project, and the DES mitigation program.
And
So
tell me the name of the project again?
Prescott
On 27?
on 27.
Not, okay.
That's what it's called?
Well, request for information, Prescott Real Estate Holdings LLC.
I just want, whatever the commonly referred to name of this project is.
Um,
Prescott on 27 is,
Prescott on-
Proposed
Proposed
development on
project.
Old Castle site, I don't know.
okay.
Yeah, they don't cite the official name.
And it's a mitigation
Used to
project,
be.
right?
Yeah,
Used to
the
be.
former castle site.
Mm-hmm.
Most of this has to do with the wetlands. Wetlands on the Epping side of the border are under conservation, and there are wetlands in that site, as we all know. So most of this relies to that, and the retaining wall, et cetera, et cetera. If anyone would like a copy or read this, I can make a copy.
Bring people up to
Yes.
speed a little bit.
Thank you, Paul.
So it's the Prescott has a manufacturing facility that is moving to that site where the castles used to be, which castles have been all leveled, and we had some extensive review of that at the planning board, and it will probably be one of, if not, the biggest facility in the Brentwood area in terms of size, but in terms of the engineering that they provided, it seemed like they really, dotted all their i's, crossed all their t's. I thought, they really did, an excellent job, and that's why the planning board ended up approving the project conditionally. We went through the whole wetlands analysis to, the 4 or 5 different parts of the wetlands analysis to, ensure that they were meeting the requirements, and I think there was a level of comfort there. But if you're being told now that there needs to be some concurrence from the Conservation Commission, I would definitely invite their engineer in, who really knows his stuff. I'm not gonna speak the engineering lingo, but I can tell you that, based on everything that I heard and what we heard at the planning board, it sounded as though they really were doing their job in terms of making sure that the impacts were minimized, and it seemed like a great opportunity for Brentwood to bring this facility from Exeter to Brentwood.
And it has passed ZBA too.
Right.
zoning
Yes.
plan.
Yeah, there were several things
Yeah.
that required ZBA approval and then planning board approval after that occurred at the ZBA.
I don't think any of these are major revisions. Some of it is asking for information that needs to be part of the packet or application. Some of it is minor changes and explanation of some of the wetlands and the borders and the walls and the retaining walls. So I'm sure the engineering firm will comply with that. I just hope that we have a chance to look at that or hear on that before the May 20 deadline.
It sounded like you had said they need some sort of conservation concurrence.
Yes, item number 8.
So if some concurrence is needed, then I would invite, Mr. Prescott and his engineer in, because
Okay, the concurrence is needed before May 20th.
Yes,
Okay,
or else the application will be denied.
got it.
So I've told Jillian at the planning board, she contacted the firm to let them know that we would.
yeah, they're very
Yeah,
cooperative.
so yes.
And I thought they did, an excellent job. I've seen a lot of applications at the planning board, and this was top notch, so.
Good.
So we're gonna invite him here for our next meeting?
Yes,
Is that the plan?
I will check with the planning board again to see what they're going to do. I'll contact Kristen. Okay,
I didn't realize it required concurrence. So.
yeah.
So it says it's actually gonna impact the prime wetlands.
Yeah,
So that's a much bigger
Yeah.
issue.
yeah. So we'll see how they respond to that. I don't know if they can get an extension on their application while they're working on all of that. We'll find out.
How much of that is it? Actually, Brentwood, and how much is that Epping?
If it's the castle site, it's all Brentwood, cause the drag strip abuts it behind it, but I don't know how
The
back,
prime
how,
wetlands?
I don't know how, I don't know.
The part that's in Epping is already in conservation, I believe, was said at one of the meetings, so that's the area they're talking about, that border right between Epping and the back of their property. So we'll see what,
Looking at 8-7 is a concurrence, okay.
yeah. Okay, so I can make a copy of that for you, Paul, if you'd like,
Yeah.
so you're prepared.
Yeah, we should probably invite them in so we could provide some sort of concurrence based on,
Yep.
Based on what they provide and what you folks, ultimately feel is appropriate.
Yeah, if we invite him to the next meeting, we're on time.
Which is May 8, which is well within the deadline. Okay, anything else on that? The other project that came up before the planning board, the Lambert Route 125 site review, that's located on 125, lot number 209.068. They've asked for continuance till April 4 for their plan. The engineers wanted time to work on what the planning board requested, I believe. Next, I didn't have this on the agenda, but I wanted to add it to the agenda vocally, orally. The housing survey that was put out by the planning board closed, and they had 180 responses from residents in Brentwood. Mark Kennedy on the planning board is reviewing all, he has to review all the comments, and there's a proposal to have a meeting to review the results of the survey. I don't know what kind of report they're going to produce, but the planning board still has a deadline when they have to finish their work for that grant. I think the deadline is June 1 perhaps. So they're going through the stages to complete the work for that $40,000 grant. Watch for the planning board agendas, watch for information on the planning board to watch for that date. The other item I wanted to add was the highway survey is complete that was produced by the Department of Transportation for the South Road 125 intersection. And there is a meeting scheduled for 4/16. Is that a select board meeting?
It is, but the commissioner will be there from Department of transportation to review the findings in the study. So I think folks coming out to that meeting will be important because that intersection obviously is an important one for the town. We have the North Road, Middle Road, and now we're dealing with South Road, so.
So 4/16 is a Tuesday, is a regular select board meeting. It will be at the rec center at 6 o'clock. So if you have neighbors or anyone interested, please make sure it's on their calendar. I don't think it's been posted yet.
Yes,
It has been?
it's on the calendar.
It's on the calendar, okay.
I think it's important because I know there's a lot of strong feeling about whether there should be a light, and this was in their longer-term plan, a light versus a roundabout. And ultimately, the study found that there was not sufficient evidence for purposes of placing a light there. And the longer-term plan was a roundabout, so there'll be a fair amount of discussion on that. And the more mid-range plans was to widen the road and create some turning lanes as well. And then some shorter-term plans would be some basic things like making sure the area along the intersection was mowed, that the lines were painted, stop lines. So, it's an important issue because of, even though there may not have been the evidence for frequent enough accidents for lights, for having a light there was evidence that because of the speed, that the accidents there could be pretty serious. I know that Kristen from the planning board had written a letter citing to a previous report that had suggested a light as a preferred option. So those are all things that, will be on the table, and I think to the, we're stakeholders, so it's important that, we provide some input.
And you're right about the turn lanes. That was another part of the option, one of the options they considered or
Well,
was
that's
mentioned.
something
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah.
talking about more shorter term
Yeah.
to address
Yeah.
some of the problems.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. Okay. Under old business, Pickpocket Dam, our continued involvement with Pickpocket Dam. At our last meeting, we requested that the select board, and there be a letter from the select board and the Conservation Commission expressing our concerns about the impact on Brentwood property if the a dam application to remove Pickpocket Dam is approved. The select board discussed it a couple of weeks ago, the draft of the letter that Matt and I had worked on, and it was decided that the letter should come from Karen Clement, right to Russell Dean, who's the administrator, Exeter administrator, to keep it on the same level and not wee it up to another level of intensity. So it asks that, notice, you've got a copy in your packet, that the impact is significant on properties above the dam. And when the application was submitted, the river study was not complete, so complete information wasn't there. And we asked that we be involved from this point on in any discussions or involvement with the dam project. This went out the 27th. I don't think there's been a response yet.
Oh, it was sent, okay.
It was sent, yes. It was sent. So, Paul, you had worked on the language in the last paragraph, noting one concern by the select board was, we said representatives, but Paul defined them as representatives from the select board, Conservation Commission, or any other stakeholders to be involved in the discussion moving forward.
Yeah, and I think there was some concern about, who Brentwood was and what the standing of Brentwood would be. And I think, Bob Span made some, poignant comment that really, that may be a legal issue for down the road, but at this point in time, sending out this letter was appropriate, at least to stress that this is something that would affect, you know, those various stakeholders and something that we wanted to continue to be part of the process. So consequently, you know, we moved forward with this letter.
If any of you are in touch with Stan or on his mailing list, he's pretty much up to date with what is happening next with that. But there was some information on the Exeter Town website that there's going to be a meeting to review all the comments that were received. The date was not clear. I think it's May 9. Comments will be available. It wasn't clear whether the Exeter Planning Board, the Conservation Commission, or the Exeter River Committee was in charge of that. It was back and forth, at least when I read 3 or 4 of the minutes of all these meetings. So watch the town website, Exeter Town website, and check with Robert Spann. He's right on top of all of this to see how it's moving forward. They're still expecting that an answer on the application will be received by July 1. So I don't think any word, at least I know, has been received yet as to where they are with approving or disapproving or refusing this. So watch the town website if you want to be well informed. Any questions about pickpocket? Okay. Exeter River Dam, one in Fremont, right up on the border. That was an issue that came up in 2017 when that was listed as a hazardous site. The owner did not have the resources to remove or to fix the dam, so that kind of died, and it went to the DES, I think it was, or the dam board, Steve Doyen. Bruce Stevens contacted Steve Doyen, who's the chief dam safety engineer, who replied, a copy of his reply to Bruce about some progress, this has been revived to a little degree, some progress on this issue with the owner of the dam. So this is as much information as I know, but it brings us up to date on what's happening with that particular dam. So that's in the file. Thanks to Bruce for contacting this, because the project sort of went dead after 17 or 18 or 19, whatever that was. So we're at least up to speed on what's happening with the dam. Okay. Perambulations. Bob Stevens isn't here. There's one town that still has to be walked. Bob has a conflict with a business contract right now, so he couldn't be here, but I will check with them to see if there's been any update on that. The next, map conservation manual, our handbook. You're working on it, I know.
Yeah, and I circulated it last meeting, asked for comments. I got comments from Rob. That was it. And I've incorporated all those into the next updated draft. Rob's comments were primarily questions that I share, the same questions. And so probably some smaller group of us should focus on that, get the questions answered, and decide, you know, and to recommend back to the full commission, you know, where do we go next with this? You know, is the update essentially there once we've resolved our questions? It seems like it probably is. But again, it, as I said last meeting, it charts out what our authority is and what our duties and what our responsibilities are. You know, the corollary to that is still, I think, something that's needed even as I think a higher priority is a practical to-do handbook with the A's through Z's of the step-by-step process of completing a conservation. That's not in there at all. And, you know, again, I'd urge that you get some traction on that, however it might make sense.
So you would like a group of, a couple of others
I think
to work on this?
somebody needs to take that on.
Rob, you had questions? Would you like to be involved in that?
Yes, I would.
Okay. I would like to be involved because I have some questions that I've got on the notes, but I did not send to you.
Okay.
So we could set a date for the 3 of us. Michelle? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be good. So
Well,
do you want to set the date? You want to contact the other 3 and set the date?
with meetings have to be 3 people or less, or we have a public meeting.
It could be a public meeting if, well,
No,
We'd have to
you have
post
to
it.
record it.
okay, I'll back out. I'll let you and Michelle and Rob work on this.
Oh, can I back out?
No.
Well,
Well,
No,
if
shoot, I was too
if you
slow.
have his questions,
Yeah.
you and I can,
yeah,
if
the
it
three
can
of us
only be
three of us
two,
are
it
there.
can be three?
It can be three.
Okay.
It can be three, yeah.
It can be three. So you, Matt, and Rob. So you set the date, you'll set that up?
I had stuff too, and I think I have a couple copies
Does
of
that
these,
still
and this
apply
isn't
to
the one
my-
that I wrote on.
Remember?
I must have left that one at home, but I went through it too.
I'm only an
Well,
alternate,
he's,
so-
yeah, I mean,
Not actually.
I don't know
I
if it
have two,
applies to,
actually.
There's 12.
if it's an alternate and 2 members, or if it's 3 members.
Oh,
Paul?
yeah, good point.
Do two
Yes.
alternates, make a member.
You're just making a subcommittee
Yeah.
designation, I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure why that would even.
We were always told that you can't have meetings of more than 3
Quorum.
members at a time, because you
Right, that would
create a
be-
quorum, and therefore it has to be public. However, 2 of the people that would be in this meeting are alternates, they're not regular members. Does that make a difference?
Plus it's really more like a working group.
I know that, but
Yeah.
that doesn't answer the
Still
question
meetings.
on
Yeah.
what are the ground rules.
Yeah,
So we
don't-
need that,
don't
we
have
need
a
that
meeting,
answer.
We're just gonna get together and talk about it.
Yeah,
yeah,
well, I know, but
okay.
Can we check if actually something like that has to be recorded?
I don't know.
Maybe-
Yes.
Maybe we could
I
ask the
would,
select
yeah,
board.
I would.
Karen
I would
could
check with Karen.
provide the
Yeah,
clarification.
I mean,
Okay.
my thinking is it's a working group, and once the working group reports back
Yeah,
to the commission, then it's something that is public, and I don't know, a working group.
Well, it doesn't matter what you call it. If you have 4 or more, you've got a quorum. But is it 4 or more regular members, which usually is what constitutes a quorum? I mean, the alternates are not counted as a quorum for purposes of, do we have enough to have a meeting?
Right.
Right? And so if it's 2 regular members and 2 alternates, it may be permissible. Let me check with Karen,
yeah. Matt
and
will
I'll
check with Karen.
let everybody know.
And he will set up the date, work on
Right.
that, and I'll just send you my questions that I had for that, my notes. Okay. It's been cleaned up a considerable amount already for format and style and grammar and sequence, so a lot of the work has been done, but it's the details and what else needs to be included. Okay, next item on your agenda is the Forest Management Capital Reserve Fund. That's been postponed with a meeting with the select board until May 21. Just to refresh your memories, the 3 Barings management firm that invests our trust funds said that at a meeting this past winter that this fund has not been used for 5 years. Does it still need to remain as a capital reserve fund? There just wasn't a purpose or a project assigned to that. It's acute, it started out as 5,000, it has some interest. So the trustees of the trust funds want to ask the question of the select board. I had an initial conversation with Wayne St. Hilaire to give me the background on the fund and to pass that along to the trustees of the trust funds. And I also contacted Karen Clement very preliminarily and said, is this fund going to be used? She would consider that should remain because there may be a project that comes up, but it has to go through the process with 3 Barings. So they'll meet May 21 with the select board.
Is there an actual description of?
There
what-
is,
could-
which I did not
could
bring tonight.
Share it with us maybe, because maybe it's applicable for like cleaning up his fields or something, if it was related to like forest management, and
Yeah,
maybe we can,
I think it was used in the past for logging expenses.
this is kind of similar-ish.
Yeah, so I did not bring that with me tonight. I was later on the package today,
okay.
but I will send that to you with the description. It may be in one of our previous minutes,
Okay.
because we've spoken about this a couple of times. Okay, property review, Fuller. The bond application is due April 26th. Joyce Gallant has been working on that. She sent a copy of part 2 of the application form to me on Monday. And I met with her today and to review both part 1 and part 2. This is the first time she's done that, and she doesn't have any information from Jonathan Ellis, who did this in the past. He was on the conservation board when the first bond was used, so she's in a learning curve, and so am I. So I'm going to meet with her next Wednesday. She's gonna do her part one. Maybe Jeremy Luigi or previous bond applications could be reviewed, but I have a sample of it here if anyone is interested. They will make their decisions July 1, but the application is due the 26th of April. So she's
Who
working
is
on
it you're
it.
meeting with again?
Joyce Gallant, the treasurer of Brentwood's treasurer.
Oh, Brentwood's.
Brentwood's treasurer, and she's also working on the bond application for the school board for the solar panels. So she's got two projects right in front of her right now, so she's in a learning curve. Yes, Rob?
I passed along to you my conversation with John that there's all the old applications, which would have a lot of the information, maybe that just needs to be called and updated, because it has like the 5 largest employers in town, and the 5 largest, company. It had things that weren't easily available through like our tax records and things that John had called up and, but he had suggested just going to look at the last application,
Yeah.
which was for the firehouse or
The
something,
firehouse,
which
yeah.
wasn't that long ago, as a sample, just to guide her.
Are they electronic or are they in the drawer?
They're in, he said they were in the top drawer in the office.
Top drawer. Oh, in
We have-
Karen's office?
No, in her
Yeah.
office.
Oh, in
The
Joyce's
treasurer's
top
office,
drawer.
sorry.
Okay, I'll direct her to that. This is a pretty simple form, at least what the application she gave to me. It doesn't talk about employers or anything else.
Oh, okay, maybe it's
Pretty
changed
simple.
then.
It could be changed from that time. I don't know if there's a narrative that needs to go along with that.
Right,
I'll
and the
check the
bond
applications.
council, which if you're using the same one, I had forwarded the name
Yeah.
that we've used in the past, they would have all our applications and
Yeah.
probably could easily help guide how to complete the application.
Okay, very good. It'll get done. It will be done. Thank you, Rob.
Mhm.
Okay, Fuller, so that's moving forward. Speed, there's still no response to the letter we sent?
Correct.
Okay. Swayze, still considering the process, their options. So those are the 3 properties that we've been working on this past year, or issues we've been working on this past year. No other properties have come forward at this time. Annual spring cleanup, April 20, I'm moving on to the next. This poster has been, it's going online and it is up in the
Biddies.
bulletin board there. It is over at the library, it's at Lindy's. So it's April 20. Supplies will be available from 8 o'clock till 10:30. Thank you, Andy, you'll be part of that distribution. We're gonna count the number of bags we give out. You will have plenty of bags. Wear gloves as a safety precaution because you never know what people throw away that's at the side of the road. There could be drugs or other hazardous substances, so please prepare gloves. If you have one of those grabbers, like, picks things up, that would be good to use for some things.
Did you issue hazmat suits?
No,
Most of course.
Or
Most
at
important.
least
Yeah, I have some
spray.
in
You
the
do get
diaper.
to see
Yeah.
what the
Yes.
preferred beverages in
Yeah.
town, of
Yeah.
Coors Light and,
yes.
but
Right.
And they always have favorite places where they throw their Coors Light, yes. So-
Switch to Coors Light though.
8 to 10:30, yes, Robin.
I just have a quick comment about this. In the past, we have found syringes. What we were told back then was to leave them on, not to touch them, and to contact the police department to pick up, because it is hazardous. So if you do find hypodermic needles, which we have in the past,
Wow, okay.
that you should contact the police department to have them remove it.
Okay, thank you, Robin. That's very helpful to know.
We can definitely tell people that at the rec center.
Yes, yes. I think we'll have a sheet of some basic guidelines and safety instructions to hand out when we hand out the coffee and the donuts.
That would be a good thing.
I hope to take some pictures, so show up, pick up your bag, so we should have a good showing for this. You can just leave the bags at the regular trash collection day at the end of your driveway. And we'll see how this goes. So encourage your neighbors if you want to do a neighborhood or a street. There will be a couple of areas that can be assigned. The intersection of 125 and Middle Road is a mess with all the signs. And there's some other areas that I can direct people to if they have already done their own property. So,
The
Yes.
the rec fields cleanup day got canceled because of the
Yes.
snow. Do you know if they've planned to reschedule it, and can they be co-opted into?
I talked to Andy today, and he said what he has done is directed each of the teams to clean their own spots. They start their practices on Monday. He discouraged them this week because everything was so wet,
Yeah.
but he's asked them to have them ready at least Monday, so they're gonna start doing that on their own.
Okay.
I asked for him to do the driveway of the rec center, so we'll see if we have any, because there's a lot of trash there too. See if they work on that area on Saturday,
Got it.
okay? If it rains, it's the 27th. So that's the other fallback position. Okay. Coffee and donuts, if you have a preference, let me know when I work out the dozen donuts, or if you like donut holes, let me know. Facebook page, thank you, Patrick.
Yes.
Please go on to Brentwood's Facebook page and like us. We're starting to build responses. I'm not gonna pay $55 to move it up to the front of the land, but more likes will keep us in front of people. So please go and check out Brentwood, New Hampshire Conservation. And if you have anything you'd like Patrick to think about, an article or a notice or something, please contact Patrick.
Yeah. I'm trying to mainly just put in front of the two Brentwood like groups, the Brentwood chats and Brentwood talks, and between those two, I'm sure there's a lot of carryover between the two, but they get it for like half the town, which is good. And I think that's a pretty good,
Yeah,
it's free. It's a pretty good notice system,
Yeah.
so it's working out. I promise not to spam anyone's inbox or Facebook notifications.
thank you again, Patrick.
Yeah.
Stevens property. Okay, this has been something that was raised by Bruce Stevens last fall, that the parcel that the Stevens family placed into an easement abuts the Split Rock Trails, the parcel that the town owns off of South Road. The agreement that was never officially signed was to allow the Woodman family to graze their cows on the hayfields. That went on for a number of years, then it sort of stopped, and I heard Mr. Woodman either died or is in a nursing home, and the nephew did something for a year or two, but hasn't done it for the last 2 years. The field has not been mowed consistently. That was part of the original management plan, that the trails were clean and the field was hayed. And I met with Deb Briscoe twice to talk about what her understanding was of that management plan and what she's seen in the last few years. I know that the Trails Committee has worked on the trails through the Split Rock, putting down some gravel and moving logs and timber that has fallen onto the trails there. So she has been doing her work there, but we walked the property, as I said last month, and she's identified where the trails exist, the existing trails. She has a proposal to add a trail, a loop past the tree line that divides the fields in half, and to have that mowed consistently, I think 3 or 4 times in the summer, and alternate one side being mowed, the next year the other side being mowed, so it alternates. Right now there's a lot of scrub growing up in that field, encroaching on the hayfield, and the fence that was installed by the Woodmans for the cattle still exists. A good portion of it is in the woods, which it isn't necessary. And then there's been is in the woods. The rest of it is along the stone walls or the entrance on Hague Road. The entrance on Hague Road, there's a gate there, a livestock gate that has been taken off the stanchion, off the stands and moved to the side, so it's open. The verticals need to be replaced. They're not very stable, so that's one piece of work that needs to be done to protect the field from trucks and cars going through the field. It's open right now, and there are hunters who use that in the fall. The other part is to add some trails, and there was a culvert in the field that was washed away a few years ago, and that makes it very difficult for any mowing because the contour of where the culvert is will damage mowers if they try to go over that culvert. I think that happened to you, Doug. I think you mowed it once and there was damage.
Actually, I think it was some of the debris from some of the logging and whatnot that went on, and yeah, it cost me a tire,
Yeah.
and 3 4-wheel tractors, 4-wheel drive tractors with one front tire not working, damn hard to keep on the road.
So she has suggested either replacing the culvert so that isn't a hazard, or contouring that swale so that it's not such a steep dip for equipment to go over, especially if they're dragging equipment behind them. So she has a basic plan I'd like to present next month at our meeting, because she wants to work on it a little bit more. And I want to talk to Bruce Stevens, who has expressed his interest in seeing how this moves forward. So Bruce is on a motorcycle trip right now. So when he comes back, we can sit down with him, the three of us, Deb, Bruce and I, and just review what she's proposing, catch up to speed on what needs to be done, and what parts of the fence should be removed and what parts should remain for safety, or for preventing access for trucks.
So Deb's gonna present this at our next meeting?
Yes, I've
And
asked-
what's Deb's last name?
Briscoe, Briscoe. She's been on the Trails Committee for
Yep.
something like 30 years.
I know who she is, I just
Yeah,
never knew her last name.
So watch for that for next month. She wants a chance to improve it a little bit. She's got a preliminary map, but I want to review that, and then we'll have that as an agenda item next meeting.
Has the letter gone to the?
Yes,
that-
I don't
I'm
know
sure.
that. You're right. The select board, we had asked for a letter, and Andy Artunovich at a select board meeting, I think 2 times ago, asked Karen to draft a letter to go to the Woodman family. I have not seen that yet, but and Karen wasn't in today, so I could not ask her. So I will follow up with Karen on that to see if it has gone out. I don't know if the select board has seen a draft.
I can't recall.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
What, and the content of the letter was?
That we are going to remove the fence.
Well, no, I thought it was the contents was
Ask
to
them.
ask the lessee who put in the fence to remove it. And give him 30 days to do so, or something like that.
Who has passed on?
And then if not, we would.
We would remove it,
Right.
yes. Thank you for the correction. So we'll see if Karen has worked on a draft.
Yeah, sorry, I don't recall that as an agenda item. I don't know if Lenny does.
What?
That's your answer.
Okay. I had Concom member photos on the website, but you've had your photos taken tonight, so I think that might pretty much take care of everyone,
Everyone except Jim.
except Jim, okay. Okay. And just to let you know that there is a process for loading information onto the new website, and I have asked that Michelle be my backup so that there are 2 of us who can load this information, that it all doesn't fall onto me should I be out of pocket or not available to do that. So Michelle is the backup to load information onto the website. She does it for the budget committee, I believe, so she's already in the loop on this. Okay, Rob,
Yes.
I'm gonna turn to you because you gave us a list last time of some topics that we might have for our alternate month experts coming in to talk to conservation. If anyone is interested, I think I have an extra copy. I've also had a chance to look at topics that Rob suggested. We've already done number 1, and we're gonna have Glenn Greenwood doing a presentation on wetlands regulations on May 2. It's a joint meeting between the planning board and conservation. And we are going to, Glenn is going to speak at 7 o'clock. So put that on your calendar.
Do you want me to
I'd like-
advertise that, like the last one?
I'm sorry?
Public?
It'll be a public meeting, joint planning board and conservation. Glenn is coming on at 7 to do the presentation, and that's May 2,
May 2nd.
May 2.
But that does not replace our.
It doesn't replace our meeting.
Conservation
It doesn't
Commission
replace our meeting.
Is that when we're doing the castles project as well?
Yes,
Okay.
on the, I don't know how much progress will be made on that letter by the time that the select board meets on the 2nd, and I don't know when the next planning board meeting is.
It's the second, the planning board meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry, joint planning board, it is May 2, yes, I'm sorry, it is May 2, yes,
So it's the planning board meeting that we're just attending,
we're attending, yes.
as opposed to a joint. It won't actually be a formal Concom meeting as much as it will be the planning board meeting, right?
Right, but we've been asked to
Yeah,
attend.
that's fine.
So does that meeting start at 7 or does it?
No, that's what I was hoping to clarify. Based on what Jillian told me, I believe that meeting's actually gonna be at 6.
Yes,
Which I know is different from both planning board and conservation, so just wanted to clarify.
But I confirmed with Jillian today that Glenn will come on at 7. And then they'll do the rest of their work afterwards, so,
So we don't have.
7 o'clock. And I think that's going to be here. I don't think the location has changed.
Yes,
Okay.
that's my.
Yeah, my understanding too. Okay, thank you, Doug. Okay. I'm sorry, we interrupted you with Glenn Greenwood. Oh, say, Rob, back to you.
Well, you would ask me to put together a list and provide, and get feedback on what people were interested in hearing about it and what kind of order. But this isn't necessarily in the order, but it's kind of in an order, you know, trying to work from the big picture, like the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions. Wetlands is one of the two things that really is our responsibility under the RSA, so I thought that would be good, since I know I'm not up to speed on the wetland regulations, and I don't know how much anybody else is, so I thought that would be great. Next is we look towards working on outreach for our conservation projects. I thought trying to understand some of these larger plans that have been made by like the Nature Conservancy and the Great Bay Partnership, you know, what have they identified as priority projects and how are they looking at the different factors and co-occurrences of different things. So these next couple, like the Coastal Conservation Plan, the Wildlife Action Plan and Wildlife Corridors, you know, trying to just become more familiar with what those large plans are that the other conservation groups and towns are trying to prioritize. Again, I don't have anyone lined up, and we thought we would skip, we did March, we're gonna skip May because of the wetlands, maybe June, depending on, so either there's some outreach at UNH or Pete Steckler, who lives in town, he used to work for the Nature Conservancy and created some of these plans. And then other things, again, just getting towards what are the resources available, like the Rockingham Planning Commission. The town does pay to be a member of that, and they have a lot of resources available, like mapping and other things. So similar to like when Barbara came in, we could have someone come in to talk to us about what are the resources available to us for our membership. Same thing with the Rockingham County Conservation District. They happen to have a lot of easements in town as well. So I thought it would be good to, you know, hear from them. And then just all, you know, all the other land trusts, Nature Conservancy, SPNF, UNH Cooperative Extension has a lot of resources. We've had like wildlife biologists like Matt Tarr come out when we were doing the Split Rock area. He actually brought one of his classes who actually, the project was to write a wildlife management plan for the Split Rock area, which was really interesting. So there's just some, and just like other things, like with the, you know, the schools have done stuff for the police, you know, buildings. There's just a lot of resources out there that we could use, and then just some, you know, you could see some of the other ones. So yeah, so any feedback on what people are interested in, or if that sounds good, and you know, some might be if we have the video Teams meetings to allow people that are farther away, if we're only gonna have them for 15 or 20 minutes,
Yeah.
they don't have to drive.
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
cool. So, I guess any feedback tonight or at any time?
Note on the wildlife action plan, that's Fish and Game out of Concord. And weird sidetrack, I'm working on that for my capstone, the 2025 wildlife action plan at the state level. Just doing like outreach stuff with Fish and Game, but I could
So
definitely.
I'm hearing you volunteering. For
I
that
could definitely.
presentation, or-
I don't know if I would be the best person to do the presentation on the wildlife action plan, but I definitely have. I could get someone to do that.
Yeah, I mean, why don't we talk afterwards?
Yeah.
and-
Okay.
Yeah, I like all of these, Rob, you know, I would say, just, you know, as you can get folks to come in, do
Okay,
it, yeah.
okay,
You know, on the schedule we kinda talked about.
Right.
So June would be the next one, right, yeah.
I'm interested in Moose Lake grants or any grant opportunities. I know that other conservation groups,
yep,
East Kingston, et cetera, have gone through L-chip or Moose Plate to get money, funds to underwrite part of easements. So I'd be interested in finding out more about that down the road. They have a cycle of when they accept preliminary applications, and we could check into that, but if we could get an overview, that would be great.
yeah, and I think if we as we're doing projects, whoever our consultant is that's
Yeah.
helping us would hopefully be able to bring in the right grant
Yep.
partners based on their different, you know, goals for their grant programs.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of general information for
Yep.
us, so we're knowledgeable.
Gotcha. Yep, I have that. I have all the grants, number 12. There's tons of them. One interesting one, the ARM grants, the Aquatic Resource Integration Grant. Lori Summer, who basically
Yeah.
started it at DES, has since moved to become a project manager at SELT. There was a huge grant given by an individual to accelerate the pace of land conservation in the Great Bay Area. And so that's another one of these big plans with a lot of money behind it. I think it's like $10 to $15 million. So that might be something interesting too, because they're working right in this area with a lot of money.
I think they did a video presentation
you
in
said-
Zoom, and I
was
attended that. That was very good,
The
and I think
Drinking
Lori
Water
Summers part of
Trust
it,
Fund,
yes.
yeah.
So, yes,
So, so I think like Matt said, some of it is who's available, who's willing, when
Yeah.
are they willing?
yep.
Right.
So I'll just start getting stuff out
Okay.
there and trying to line stuff up.
Anything else from anyone? Priorities?
All sounds good.
Doug?
Oh, sorry, I just want to clarify one planning board item that you addressed earlier, the Lambert project.
Yes,
Because we continued that hearing originally to the 4th, but our meeting was canceled because of the storm. So my understanding is that hearing is now going to be on the 18th.
18th, okay. Let me
So
go
not
back.
tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow.
Okay, 18th. Okay, 18th, 4/18. Thank you, Doug. Okay, anything else,
Sorry,
Rob?
which one
No.
was
Building
that?
sheds.
That was
which item?
Lambert under,
Building-
under planning board. Correspondence and notices, it's
Okay,
item,
item 3.
item 3.
Yeah, I did, just to follow up, I did talk to Kristen on the planning board, and
Next
she
Thursday, whatever.
likes the idea, and so we're gonna try and work on more of these educational sessions, even through the planning board, like on stormwater
Mhm.
No.
management
16th, I
and
think, is it?
other sorts of things, cause I think
16th,
everybody,
sorry.
like, whether there's new members like Doug, just to
Yeah,
try and bring more information to the town, and residents can come and,
Good spot.
she was gonna go to the program that was up in
yeah,
New Hampshire on Saturday.
yeah,
I haven't caught up with her since that program, I know she had signed up for that,
so
so,
cool.
yeah, we'll see what she has to say about that. Okay, anything else on that? We'll be on video even every week, every month. Okay. Open Space Committee or work group, various names. During the previous bond era, there was an open space committee that worked in conjunction with and advised the Conservation Commission on easements that were being discussed. It gave us extra hands, extra bodies to do the work, because it becomes very intense when you're working on easements. And Lise, who was involved in that years ago, suggested we should start a work group or a committee this time. According to RSA's, we have the right, I've given you a handout of a draft, as well as the second page is the RSA's that apply to establishing subcommittees or work groups with the Conservation Commission and how they function. And the draft on the front is an outline of how this might function with conservation. What their role was, how properties would be discussed, their role as an advisory committee, and cost, membership, et cetera. It's a draft. Lisa has seen part of, Lisa has reviewed it, Rob has reviewed it. Wanted to get a couple of people to feedback. I'm interested in feedback on this. If you like the draft or the concept, I would hope we could discuss, and if we want to move forward with this, to approve this so we can take it to the select board at their next meeting, informing them that we are establishing this subcommittee or work group. The last one was called the Open Space Conservation Subcommittee. When I spoke with Barbara Richter, I had a couple of conversations with her and a lot of back and forth. She said sometimes it's called a work group or a project team. So the name isn't set in stone. But she offered some very good advice. She provided information on what some other conservation commissions have done when they've established teams or work groups. She provided letters to landowners, samples of letters that conservation groups use to introduce the subject of conserving land to various landowners. She sent an outline of the process of how you work with a conservation easement that might be good to put into the handbook. So it's a step-by-step process, so that might be a good piece to add to the manual
Right.
discussion. I'll make a
Right.
copy for you. So there's a lot of information. This is a draft trying to boil down how this committee would function, and I'd like feedback from all of you and whether we move forward to announce this to the select board. We have to do that to inform them, so I don't wanna wait another month. I'd like to start that. So, you just had a couple minutes to look at this, but yes.
Are we creating it or just reopening it? Because I think, is there,
Lisa's the only one who's still here who was on that, so I think we recreate it. They had a brochure years ago.
recreate? You're just an acting chair that wants new people? No? Okay. By default.
She's chair.
Of the subcommittee? No?
So,
What the statute reads, specifies that the Conservation Commission may appoint a subcommittee, so I'm thinking that where you have this bond
Already.
in place, that you wanna appoint, right, a subcommittee for that purpose. I mean, there had been one in the past, it sounds like, but not in relation to what's out there now.
mhm.
Yeah, so it makes sense, it would seem to me, to make
And
a
also-
specific appointment.
And
if that
also
was the
announce-
direction.
announcing that we're doing this as a way to inform the community that we're working actively on increasing, using the bond and increasing the amount of land that is under protection in Brentwood. So it's another way to inform the community.
Yeah, really the idea is to accelerate
Mhm.
our effort, because doing it month to month is just too
Yeah.
slow.
Right.
And allow this group to do the work and then come back to the bigger group, to help say, hey, this is what's happening.
Mhm.
Is everyone in agreement, or what's, but, because I think the idea is to get a consultant and work with them and really try and accelerate this, because
Yeah.
while we might not be going that fast, the developers are still
Yeah.
reaching out wildly to anyone with land, so.
Yeah.
And again, this would give, the highest return on the town's investment if we proactively can find willing landowners with the best properties in town versus just whatever
Comes our
happens to
way.
come in
Yeah.
the other direction. So I would hope that we can give you the authority to move forward, but I'm not a voting member.
Well, no, so what are you looking for? You're looking for a motion to
move forward.
advise the select board, or do you need their approval?
We don't need their approval, we need to inform them
Okay.
because we have the authority
Yeah.
to establish subcommittees.
Okay.
So you wanna move forward with
Yeah.
this and create the committee? My motion would be that the Conservation Commission will move forward and establish a subcommittee or a work group to work on easements and placing more land under conservation.
If I'm reading the statute correctly, as it's cited here, it's the Conservation Commission's role to appoint.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we will appoint the members, but I want to inform the select,
Appoint the subcommittee, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And then we would appoint the members as well.
So it's a motion to advise the select board and also to move forward with creating this subcommittee and appointing the members.
Yes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Yes, absolutely.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you. If you have any reaction to the language, let me know, but this is the draft. This is done. This is done.
Do you wanna discuss any thoughts about how to go about, creating that committee and the membership? Is
I
that something?
wasn't thinking of doing that tonight.
Okay.
I thought two, three of us would get together and
The
discuss
next,
that.
just
Yeah.
like a general, okay,
Yeah.
general
Yeah,
idea,
yeah.
okay.
We talked, this says something 5 to 7 members. So yes, the three of us can discuss and
Okay.
anyone else to be part of that.
And what about, whether or not to try and move forward with either interviewing or talking to a consultant over the next few weeks, that we might be able to come back with any sort of
We'll
recommendation.
come back with the recommendation.
Okay,
That'll
so,
be part of the discussion,
okay.
okay? Membership, consultant, et cetera, moving forward. Also reviewing the priority list. I spent a couple hours on that last week, and there's a lot of changes of ownership as well as properties that are available. So that's part of it. Do we want any informational material to be published, to go out to the community? So there are a lot of aspects to
Yeah.
this. So if we work out the details of this and move forward, and
Great.
report at the next month. So, we've already talked about the joint planning board, RCCD had a work group session April 3 last week at the rec center. There were about 20 people there representing conservation commissions in this area. East Kingston was there, Rye, Exeter, Kingston, representatives from the state, representatives from a number of organizations. I don't have the list of who all was there, they haven't distributed that yet. They collected information on what were the priorities for conservation in this region, for Rockingham County, what were our concerns, and how to move forward. So they're going to produce the notes. There's no notes yet, it'll be about a week before they have the feedback on that. But it was an interesting meeting, it was nice to meet other conservation commissioners and chairs. And 2 or 3 of us got together and hope to do a regional informal get-together group so that we are aware of what each of the towns surrounding us are doing now. So that was a good result of meeting all of those people, so.
So that's our Rockingham County,
Conservation chairs,
what's the D?
District.
District, got it, thank you.
the Seacoast has that working group for all the communities that are on the Seacoast. They meet every month for coffee and just discuss what everyone's doing. So I think that would be helpful for this part of Rockingham County, since we're all so connected. So that was a good outcome with that meeting. Yep. Okay. New easement we've had no easement inquiries at this point. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks. Other business, I have a note here that typically, or not always, we review appointments in terms of office for this commission. I have from Daphne all of our appointment slips, and the dates vary according to when people joined as alternates or were appointed as members. It goes everywhere from March through October. So I'm going to meet with Karen. She was not in today, but I've had a conversation with Daphne. Right now, there's varying information as to when the terms end, what's on the website versus what's on the papers that have been signed. There are some papers that don't have any end dates. So I want to clean that all up before we move forward and look at terms of office, who wants to step down, who wants to remain. I've had conversations with a few of you, but not everyone as of today. So I want to clear it all up and make everything right before we go through with that. There's some varying information, not all of it is the same. So I will be in touch with the rest of you. Some terms end this year, some are 25 and some are 26. What is supposed to happen with 6 members is staggering 2, 2, 2. Right now we have 3, we have 2, 3, 1. So it's not balanced. We need to clean that up as well so that we do have stability and continuity in the membership. It should be fairly equal spaced. There is some disagreement whether alternates are appointed for 3 years or 1 year. I found documentation from a few years ago that it were 3-year terms for alternates. Now I hear it's 1 year, so I want that all cleared up so that we are all in agreement and everything moving forward is accurate.
And when we were first appointed as alternates,
Yep.
Becky and I were told, one of you will be 1 year and one of you will be 3 years.
Yeah, so I want to clean this all up before we move forward. I will work with Karen, I'll work with the select board on this, but I think I need to have all the facts
Yep.
in place before we move forward. So, any questions?
How about reappointing you as chair? Usually the committees and boards appoint their chairs every year.
Well, my term is up 25, so I have another year.
Sorry, the chair.
Oh, the chair,
She just became chairman, what,
October.
October, so.
Okay. I was just, we talked earlier, it's customary, usually the boards, every year, like the select board, I mean, it doesn't have to be, I'm sure you'd be reappointed, I don't know, if you just wanted it for the record, but.
Do you want to go ahead and make a recommendation?
I move we reappoint Becky Dunham as chair for the next year.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so I will get back to all of you on this issue of terms and all the correct information. I just found a little bit of a nest when I went in there, so I'm gonna clean it all
Is
up.
it determined by statute? Do you know the terms?
Yes,
or is
I
it-
found some information. Under
26A.
the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions on membership, the select board appoints members for 3-year terms, and then there's another reference here that says the select board also appoints alternates for 3-year terms, typically 3-year terms. So that is something I want to clarify.
So the RSA 36A3 says, when a commission is first established, terms of the members shall be for 1, 2, or 3 years, and so arranged that the terms staggered. Trying to find it because I know that. And their successors shall be appointed for terms of 3 years. Any member of a commission so appointed may be removed, blah, 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 vacation. I read it somewhere that, or maybe it was in our bylaws that say
There's
that
nothing in our
alternates
bylaws
are,
that I could
alternate
find.
members may be appointed in a like manner.
Yeah,
So
like it says
to
it's-
me, it would be the
Successor
same
says
as,
3 years. So
I
be
believe the
3
paper
years.
I signed with the alternate intent was a year term.
it was, as was Rob's, because that's the way it was set up, but I don't know if that's true.
I just,
Or
I don't
correct.
know how
Correct.
helpful that
Correct.
information
If
is. I
that's
believe that was, yeah, that was.
correct, yes.
Becky,
Yes.
has anyone's terms actually expired in March at the town meeting that is still voting now?
I don't know that it's by month. We just
No.
had it by year.
Well, usually
So I
it
don't-
always happened at the town meeting. Historically, I don't know if that was
Yeah.
accurate, but
Yeah, well,
just
that's-
like the office, like elected officials, usually everything
I
expired.
think
at
it
town
said on
meeting.
at least the one I signed that it was like to the date that or whatever, like when the select board approved it. It was like your term
Yeah.
will expire
Yeah,
like December something of 2020.
Terms.
Oh, so end of the year, not.
20,
yes,
I have no
Term
idea when
expired.
that
Yes.
expires.
2025.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I just didn't know if, as you look through the paperwork, if anyone had an actual date that has expired.
Yes, there are a couple of dates
Uh-huh.
that
That
have
have
expired,
come.
but as with the Recreation Committee,
I know, I read it.
they had
somewhere.
terms that expired, but they just booked that 3 months later. So they applied, but they didn't fulfill them until a couple of times ago. So I want to meet with Karen and go over all of these
Okay.
and get all the information correct according to statute as well as
Okay, we just should be
Conservation
careful, we're
Commission.
not voting on things with members that,
Right,
who aren't actual
The statute
members.
seems to suggest 3 years for even those
Yeah.
on the commission. Because it says, when you start a commission, it starts with a staggered 1, 2, and
Mhm.
3, but then you get appointed, members will, after the expiration, successors shall be appointed for terms of 3 years. So I'm
Right,
assuming we're
right.
well into
right. We're well into
successors.
that, yes.
Yes.
And in the
So-
conservation manual, it says commission members and alternates are appointed by the municipality's governing body, e.g. Board of Select Board, or Select Board, and terms generally run for 3 years. So that applies to alternates as well as members.
One would
So,
think.
I would think. So, clarity is always important to me, and I want it to be accurate, so
Yeah,
More
that's
to
what
come.
I'd like
that's a
to
good
do.
idea.
Right.
Really good idea.
The last thing I picked up at the Rockingham County Conservation District, if anyone has a trout pond and wants to order trouts, there's a form to order them. The applications are due by April
If
12th.
anyone has a trout pond and is happy for me to pay to put trout and let me fish there.
Yeah. Yeah. So orders, Orders must be placed by Tuesday, April 16, and the fish will be delivered to your pond on Saturday, the 20th.
Anyone ponds? Anyone got a pond? Who's got a pond?
That's
How
right.
big does the pond have to
Well,
be?
what
Pond,
were the
Brian?
It has to be cold
Half shovel
enough for
will
trout.
What were the dates again?
It has to be cold enough, so if anyone wants the application, I have it here.
How deep's the pond
What were
gonna
the
be?
dates?
Doesn't have to be that deep, I don't think.
Applications must be, orders
It's
must
gotta
be
be- it's
placed
gotta be
by
cold.
April
Yeah, I
16.
don't know if mine's
And the fish will be
deep enough to
delivered
be cold
We can
enough.
put
April
bass
20,
snares.
and you pay
Yeah.
$3 per fish. This is a fundraiser for the Rockingham County Conservation
$3
District.
a fish, I
Wow,
love
that's
it.
cheap.
I can see that.
Yeah, $3 a trout.
Fresh trout.
You can
Yep,
pick a size too, right? There's a small
Yeah.
one.
Like this,
There's a
I don't think you're
size
having
and
dinner
then-
from it, Matt.
No, I've
You
seen,
got it.
I've got the
Give us
trout,
some
I've got the
time.
trout ordered. My
That's
my
great.
mother has a trout tank in her classroom that they
Oh.
order the trout through that. So
okay.
yeah.
Our pond isn't cold enough for trout,
Right.
so. I
She
can't
does
do
it
that.
for the
That's
culinary class, so they have
Yeah.
like a
Oh.
stock tank of trout. Yeah.
Can they do
I love it.
lobsters?
No, no. You have to. Oh, Ward's not here. You have to talk to Ward about that lobster tank.
Okay. all right.
This goes back.
Any other business from anyone?
Maybe this is going back.
Thank
That's
you.
going back to Matt or something.
If not, the next meeting is May 8, but remember the May 2 meeting with the planning board at 7.
But it's 6.
Sit six.
Well, the
I got you,
meeting's at
Doug.
6, but Glenn doesn't come on till 7.
Yeah, but if we're doing the Prescott thing, we should be there at 6.
It depends, yeah, it depends on what we hear from, yeah. So stay tuned. I'd love to see you all at 6.
Okay.
I will be there. I have a motion to adjourn.
Doug?
Oh,
Did anybody,
Oh,
Did
yeah.
they
Public
comment?
comment.
Oh, public, any
comment.
comments from anyone?
okay.
Thank you all. Thank you all for showing up.
sit in.
Oh, good, thank you, Jeff. Okay, thank you, Okay.
You're doing a good job, really good.
thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're a wonderful addition.
Did
I like
anyone
the
tell
connection.
Paul that the select board rep usually brings coffee and chocolates to each meeting?
Yeah.
He knows now.
I thought it
Now
was,
he knows, next meeting.
I thought it was
we give you
burgers
one
and
coffee
beers.
chocolate. We give
Yeah.
you one pass and forget it. Obviously, Andy didn't
Good,
tell
one
you.
job. Who seconded the motion to
Oh, who
adjourn?
seconded the motion to adjourn?
Mr. Cowie's always up for a
Yes,
good.
I'll pick
Mr.
Mr.
Andy.
Cowie's always up for a
I'll
good
pick
second.
Andy.
I mean, you're the ones that get all high pay
Whatever
and
it takes.
job and everything.
I just want to go home.
All the glory.
Well-
I don't know about that either.
You speak for all of us. We're the voiceless.
7:42.
So I pulled up the land.
My goal is to always end before 8.
You're doing great on that.
Oh, no, oh, yes, I do. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a whole packet for you, John.
Yeah.
8 people.
Where does this work?
Yeah.